Well, good evening, everyone. Chris Gray here with our President, Stuart Grossman. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us for our yearly award letter process webinar. It started a little bit earlier this year with the changes to the FAFSA, so I'm sure a lot of fun and exciting things are happening. There's a chance during the webinar, of course, to ask questions, and so I encourage all of you to write out your questions, and Stuart and I will answer those as we go along here.
Probably most of the questions will be answered towards the end, because I think a lot of things that we're going to cover today will answer your questions. But if there's something we don't cover that you need to know, we'll certainly review it with you.
Right. Well, would you like to start out talking about the schedule a little bit, Stuart?
Yeah, so let's kind of start out kind of mapping out what the schedule is. You know, we're reaching the end of January now, and so I've been talking to a lot of clients that some are already getting award letters from the schools that got financial aid forms, you know, earlier this year in October and early November, and but there's a lot of schools that are still haven't sent out award letters yet, so it's kind of all over the board this year with the early start of the financial aid season in October. Some schools are trying to get back to their students soon. Others really aren't that well prepared, and they're not going to get back to people, you know, probably anytime soon until sometime in early March.
Yeah, but definitely a unique year there opposed to the past. A lot of times, you know, all the award letters would start to come out in February, March, even into April, believe it or not. But now we have some schools, they've already sent out award letters in 2016. And so it's really spread out. And so what we encourage again here is we want to wait till you get all of your award letters for the colleges that you're considering. And then we can have one good solid meeting where we can review all those award letters and really help you make a good decision.
Right. So we're kind of expecting that most people should have all their award letters by the first part of March. So that's when we really want to start meeting with everybody that wants to meet with us to evaluate these award letters.
Make sure you send in those award letters too. Best way to do that is to scan and email them in. You can also fax us here at 509-474-1158.
But remember, we want all these award letters to come in a big batch.
Yep.
It's way difficult for us to get them as you get them, because then we collect them and then we got to file them, and it gets to be a big house. We want to be efficient in this process because we have a lot of clients in a short period of time that we got to go through all this. So the key is to wait until you get all the award letters, you know, email them to us like Chris explained, and then we'll have our meeting together. And we want to, you know, again, have our meeting pretty much in March, and then evaluate with our special software that we're going to show you how that works to evaluate these award letters. And then the nice thing is, even though the FAFSAs and everything start out early, the May 1st is still the deadline, kind of to let the schools know which ones you're going to go to and which ones are not.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure many of you folks can see my screen here too. And what we're looking at here is the Client Care Center, the filecollegeinfo.com website that hopefully most of you are familiar with. And if you want to be proactive, you can actually go into here to this website, and for each college, you can actually enter some of the award letter information. Now, of course, it's important to send to it as well too, so we make sure it's done right. But here's an example for Bishop State College. If you just click on Edit, it'll come up. Okay, going to maximize this, and then cost of attendance quoted on award letter. So on the award letter, you'll see an outlay of tuition, room and board, fees, and books. And so good to take a look at that and put that in here. There's also be some examples here up in the right-hand corner. And then line per line, you can start to put in the scholarships that the school has offered and the grants and the loans as well too.
So real quick, on the cost of attendance, this is something you got to kind of look out. Some of the schools will only put in the direct expenses that they collect, like tuition and room and board. But the actual cost of attendance in the financial aid formula includes books, transportation allowance, and miscellaneous fees and expenses. So to get to a really true cost of attendance number that is consistent with all the schools, we want to have all those numbers. So when you get the information from the schools, try to be careful to put in the right cost of attendance number for including everything.
And just a way to kind of double check your work here. If you see here for George Fox, for example, we show in-state and out-of-state. Of course, it's the same because this is a private school. But your number should be roughly close to this. This number has all those things we just talked about in it. So your number should be pretty close to that.
Sounds good.
All right.
So Chris, let me talk about a form that might need to be done for people to try to get more financial aid.
Okay.
So as everybody knows, we're using called prior period tax information. So that's from 2015.
Prior year, actually, Stuart. Yep.
Right. So as everybody gets their 2016 W-2s and start doing their taxes, maybe, hopefully most people had better years, so that's great in 2016. But some people had some challenges, maybe bonus didn't come through, or they have less income in 2016 than 2015. So if that's a significant number, then we probably want to work with you on what we call a change of circumstance form, because the schools will use the lower income numbers to give you a lower family contribution or more financial aid. But it's something that we have to be proactive with, and it's not something we redo the FAFSA or anything like that. It's done on a school-by-school basis. So it is quite a bit of work to do, change of circumstance letter, but certainly if there's a significant change, it can certainly be worth it.
Kind of the hoops to jump through there is, of course, the form from the school itself. There will be a form with their financial aid office. You can contact them. And then also supporting documentation that proves the change of circumstances.
Yeah, like a tax return.
Yep.
That'd be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so instead of going into a lot of detail on this one, we want to let you know that's going to be available for us to help you with. And it won't apply to too many people, but for the people it does apply to, it can certainly give us a better chance of getting a better financial aid situation.
All right, a big thing I'd like to talk about too right now is the differences between an acceptance letter and award letter. Many of you I talk to, I say, hey, have you got any award letters yet? And you're like, sure, yeah, I've got some. But you actually just got an acceptance letter. So we're going to show two different examples here. If you can see my screen here, here's an acceptance letter, okay? And so usually the acceptance letter says on behalf of the school and the faculty of the particular college, in this case it's St. Martin's, it's their pleasure to be admitted, okay? And a lot of times they'll even offer some kind of scholarship that they've awarded as well too. So this is an example of acceptance letter, and it usually comes first, okay? And there's still some hoops to jump through here, of course, but this is the first step.
Right.
All right. So this is an acceptance letter, not an award letter.
So this will have pretty much the merit-based scholarship
Yep.
that they're willing to offer you.
So this stuff right here is solely usually based off of merit because they have not quite evaluated the FAFSA and all the other paperwork as well. So yep, a lot of times the acceptance letter is solely based off of merit most of the time.
And so before everything's said and done, there might be other scholarships that can come through. And of course all the need-based financial aid based on the financial aid forms that we've done for you.
Yep. So these are the big scholarships a lot of times from the college, and so to be proactive again, I've seen sometimes there's some more scholarships on the college's website. Yep. So good to take a look on the college's website as well too and see if there's potentially any other scholarships to go after. And of course too, if your student's motivated enough, it's good to stay on top of going after some of those privately funded scholarships too. All right. So this is an acceptance letter. This, everyone, is an award letter. And so a little messy here, and forgive me for if it's a little blurry to y'all, but again, what we're looking at here is we'll see estimated of direct costs, tuition and fees, room and board. We see here for the fall, for example, right around $17,500 for $5,000 for room and board, and then again the same thing for the spring. Then it lists the scholarships offered. It talks about a grant, and most grants are usually based off of need. Scholarships are, of course, based off of merit most of the time. It shows our scholarships offered, and then also loans as well, too. So in the award letter, you should have an outlay of the costs, the scholarships, and the loans offered.
Now remember, they're breaking it down per semester. So what you really want to eventually do is add this stuff up in our form for the whole year.
Yep.
Because we're evaluating things for the whole year.
So you can see, for example, even on my screen here, I did a little bit of math for this family. I added the two $17,000 for $35,000 and $10,000 there. It's about $45,000 cost of attendance just for tuition and room and board here, not including the books and miscellaneous fees, which actually talks about here at the bottom as well. So I added this number into here as well. and it was very close to what we had projected. All right, and then of course you add up the grants and scholarships for each year too, and you can put in there. And of course we'll check you in all this stuff.
So, so that's good. So this will be the second, kind of the final thing. I don't know, not the final, but the next thing you'll get. This is the full award letter that we're talking about, and this is what you need to have. If you don't get one of these award letters, then you may need to check with them and see if there's something that they're missing that they didn't get. Who knows?
You touched on a great point there, Stuart. So I even see a lot of times too. So you want to contact the school's financial aid department and see if they need any other information. A lot of times we'll need a verification form. For many of you, we use the data retrieval tool, the DRT, which pulls the numbers right from the IRS. That's good. If that doesn't work or for some reason we can't use that, a tax transcript, you should definitely get that. That'll save you some legwork, and that can be, you can get that right from the IRS website as well too. And that will help you with verification. So a lot of schools have a website where you can check and see if you have all the requirements. You have to make sure you do all the requirements before you will get the award letter.
Right. So timing-wise, I would say by March 1st, you should have all your award letters. If you don't have them by then you need to do some digging to find out what's going on.
Right to the financial aid office at the school. That's the first place you want to go.
So then we'll want to meet with you in March, maybe sooner if you get all your award letters sooner. And then we'll evaluate all these award letters with that software we've been talking about. And we're going to show you how that looks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So also too, perhaps some of you have made a decision already and kind of finalized. And so I have a couple of you on the calendar already for award letter meetings. And so if you really have your mind made up and that's the end all be all, you got into the college of your dreams, then we can have an award letter meeting sooner.
That's true.
So good to know that. Also too, good to call us and to be careful about perhaps putting down deposits and those kind of things too. What do you think about that, Stuart?
All right. So schools, their approach is trying to get you to commit as early as possible in this whole process. And you don't need to be swayed by that type of pressure, because a deposit early is really not going to help you guys.
Sometimes it's non-refundable too.
So we want people to be patient. It's hard to have patience sometimes, but you don't have to make a decision until May 1st. And so this is the process, you know how it is in buying things. Sometimes you don't want to just jump the gun and jump at something. You want to take your time. You want to evaluate all your options. You want to see how it compares to the other schools. And then that gives us some room to negotiate and try to get more money if possible.
That's right. And you know, college, as you all know, college is very, very expensive. And I've talked to lots of families over the years that they have thrown hundreds of dollars away just in deposits and then not even end up going to that college. And it's non-refundable. So again, just be patient, folks. It'll save you money. Good. So Stuart, we want to take a look at an award comparison, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's go and take a look at that. Here is an example of an award comparison. And so first school on this family's list was Chapman. And at the time, the cost of attendance was right around $50,000, $47,000 here. Their estimated family contribution was very high, $43,000, so they had really limited need at this school. But they had a top student, and so we still got about $20,000 in scholarships. And what's nice about our program is it tells us the historical average. Well, the historical average is about $19,000, so this school did an excellent job here. And so there was no need to go back and haggle or negotiate for more on the merit-based scholarship side of things. Also, this bottom line here shows the grants, and it shows it right around $6,000, okay? Well, you see our historical average here is 14. Well, a family has to have a need to, of course, qualify for this 14, okay? That's kind of the historical average if you have that need. Well, this family only had a need of about $4,000, so they even had a good student, so they even got some good grant scholar money, which is very, very nice. But that's how to interpret this. They also got some loans. It also tells us the percentage of need met. You can see here a very high percentage of their need was met, which is great for the amount of based off their EFC. 82% was in free money based off of an average of 71%, so they did good there, and a lower percentage of loans, of course, than average. So this family looked at about $16,000 a year out of pocket to go to this school, which was pretty amazing, really amazing. Here at the bottom, it talks about being in that top 25 percentile, which I spoke to many of you about over the years, okay? So the main thing to look at here is, where the student was at with their SAT or ACT. It actually converts the score as well too. And they were right around, average middle is 1210. This student had a 1300. What we're looking for is 100 points above the middle. On average, that puts you kind of in that top 25 percentile. Well, this student here was really close to it, and so they kind of lucked out. But still, they got 90 points above the middle, pretty close here. So you want to be 100 points above the middle, and again, a very high GPA, all right? So this report really tells us, based off the student and the school's own history, was it a good offer or not? If it's a good offer, we've been doing this a long time, folks, good to be happy with it.
Yep.
If it's a good offer, the school's probably not going to budge. But every once in a while, you do see where they do kind of lowball a little bit. So here's an example of that, where we had, at Bennington, we only got $10,000 in scholarships, and the historical average is 19. So there was an opportunity, potentially, to go back and negotiate for more.
Right.
If you see here at the bottom, though, kind of it's a tail of the tape. It kind of explains why that happened. They have a higher percentage on the SAT. Their average middle is 1280. This student got 1300. So just 20 points above the average when we're looking for 100. And so that's part of the reason why. But they still could have possibly did a little bit better. And then here at the end, it shows the full summary, which is really nice. It shows us what the full cost of attendance is with loans and without loans. So we can really see what we're looking at out of pocket.
Yep.
All right.
That's really good. So, so let me summarize a little bit what our process is in all this. So, the first thing is go to our website that Chris showed you first, and fill in what you're getting on the award letters. And that's kind of nice to do because it gets you kind of involved in the process. You're looking at them and looking at the numbers. Put it in our website. Okay? And then when all the awards are received, be sure that you set up an appointment with us. And at that point, we want to get a whole batch of the actual award letters, because sometimes things don't get filled out perfectly on our website. And sometimes there's things on the award letters that will help give us a little bit of clue about certain things that the schools are sending you.
Yep, so we want to make sure we have those award letters in our hand. Big part of it, folks. Make sure you send it to us. Just don't put it into the website. We want to see for ourselves, too.
Right. And give us some time to review those award letters, and we'll review the information you put into the website, and we'll double-check everything. And then we can run that program that will evaluate everything, and we'll be all set for our meeting. And then after we look at the award, the evaluation together, then we'll get our strategy. You know, what can we do for this college or that college, or maybe this one college you can get some more money, but you don't care because you don't want it to go to that college anymore. You know, we really only want to negotiate with the colleges that you're really serious about going to.
The way that will take place is with an appeal letter process. We have a lot of good forms and experience there that we can help out with. And we'll start with the appeal letter process, and then if needs be, we can set up a three-way call with their financial aid office.
Yep.
Good.
So all that needs to be done before May 1st, of course. So we want to make sure we leave enough time if we're going to do some negotiating to get that process done. And then by May 1st, you know, the student and family need to decide which school they're going to go to. And at that point, you know, we want to make sure we have a solid plan for you guys, paying for college. Hopefully, we've done all this ahead of time, so you'll be really comfortable knowing how you're going to pay for the college costs. But for some of you who have not decided on a plan yet, this is a good time to finalize those plans. Maybe we talked about them, but we need to, because you want to be able to afford what you're going to go to for college. And I notice a lot of times before it's kind of a little bit theoretical on how much college is going to cost because you're not sure which school, but now it's for real, you know, where you're going, and you're committing a certain amount every year. So we want to make sure you have a good plan to pay for college no matter, and it's your plan. Well, we want to make sure it's a plan that you guys are comfortable with.
Yep, good. Excellent. Well, this webinar tonight, folks, was a real chance to kind of, you know, calm everyone down. I know a lot of folks have been getting award letters already, and so we wanted to really define the process and what's happening so you folks have a good action of attack with us. So again, we'll schedule those award letter meetings once we have all the award letters, or you folks have all the ones that you know for where you want to go. And so a pretty quick webinar here, and so now we have some good time here for questions. And so,
hands up.
So if you folks want to ask any questions now, feel free to type a question in the question pane,
or just raise your hand,
or you can just raise the hand and we can answer your question. So I haven't seen any questions come through yet, which is kind of surprising, but that's okay. So feel free to ask some questions. This webinar was also recorded, so you can access it for future website. Again, reference on our website, and that should be up here within a week. So again, feel free to start asking some questions.
Where's the hand thing?
It'll pop up if they raise their hand, Stuart. Yep.
I'll see the list of people.
There goes one. Excellent. All right.
Violet.
Here's a hand up here. Here's right hand for 8 minutes. The best way to ask questions, folks, again,
yeah, mute her.
Let's see here, is to type it into the pane. Type it into the questions pane.
Unmute that person.
Yeah, or unmute that person.
So you have a person with a hand up.
Yep. Are you? Can you hear me there? Person must not have a question anymore. That's okay.
About Violet Morgan.
It's actually hands raised. Will be a question. Yeah. Not a lot of questions, folks. You must have answered a lot of what's going on for you, folks. Yep. We'll stay on for a while longer if anything comes up. I'd say about another, I don't know, what do you think, Stuart, 5-10 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Kind of surprised. Yeah, usually there's quite a few questions for this process.
Why doesn't somebody just put up their hand so we can make sure our system's working properly?
There he goes. All right, hold on 1 second there.
Let's get there.
Let's see here. I see we have a question here. They raised a hand. Yeah.
How do I mute them?
Looks like you folks also need to enter the PIN. Click to send their PIN. All right. You need to enter your audio PIN. Okay, if you'd like to ask questions. If you don't have an audio PIN, I think you can just hit pound. It looks like we have a question. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks. We had a question there. We appreciate you too. Excellent. Very good. There's another question there. Okay, colleges are encouraging to place deposit for dorm prior to our right at the acceptance. What do you recommend? So we talked about that a little bit. Again, it's good to be patient here, and some of those deposits are unrefundable, okay? Unrefundable deposits. And so good to be patient there, right, Stuart?
Yeah, so here's the thing. If they are refundable and you have the extra money, why not, right? You're not out any money. But if they're not refundable, I usually tell people not to jump at that because you lose the money if you go to a different school. So this whole thing about deposit for the dorms, I think it's okay if it is refundable and if it's really probably the top choice anyway that you're thinking of, then you may want to do a deposit. But I try to dissuade people from doing that deposit. It's kind of just a way to get you hooked in.
Yep, trying to lock you in. I also see a question about a hit for the threshold of Pell Grants. And so kind of the threshold for Pell Grants on the EFC, right around 5,700, 6,000. If your EFC is 6,000 or greater, you are not going to get a Pell Grant for the most part. But if it's lower than that, you have a chance. And a lot of times on the student aid report, the SAR that we've sent out to most of you, or you can request from us, it'll actually list the amount of the Pell Grant that you qualify for.
But don't forget, the Pell Grant is only one need-based type of award.
Yep.
There's lots of other ones that the schools have the money for, or the state of Washington or Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something that since the FAFSA is a federal thing and the Pell Grant is a federal thing, they like to say whether you get the Pell Grant or not.
Common concern I see many times, we fill out the FAFSA, it doesn't list any financial aid or just loans, and folks think that that's all they're getting. Well, that's just not the case. again, that EFC is used by the college to determine how much aid you get. And so the award letter, that is the proof in the pudding. That's what we want to see.
Right.
All right. Any other questions? I have unmuted, last name's Udayani.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't enter a question because it's all black on my computer screen, so that's, but the question is, you said you could renegotiate, after you get award letters. How does it exactly work? Do you take one offer letter and then present it to a college which is not offering you aid and say, hey, I got so much money from these guys, can you match it or something like that? Or how does that work?
That's absolutely right. There's definitely a chance there. That's why it's good to have multiple colleges. But just for example, private schools are in competition with, other private schools, and state schools with state schools. A state school is not going to match kind of an offer, of course, by a private school. So It's good to have multiple colleges, of course. And then the process is we go with an appeal letter, and if that doesn't work, we can go back and have a three-way call with their financial aid office. But again, of course, we can really see from that report of ours if there's an opportunity, a chance for that, and whether it's a good offer or not.
So how do you say, so this could also be like, it could be a college you would want to go to, which didn't give you money, and you got an award letter from a college where you're, kind of, okay, you would go there, but it's not your top college, so you take that letter and you go to the top college, and even if they give you some money, how do you evaluate what's better? I mean, do you just pick the college which gave you the most money, or do you kind of say, oh, this is, better brand name?
It's kind of a case-by-case situation, and again, it has to be private schools or state schools. They have to be kind of in the same family. But that's what our report does, and I'm sorry you couldn't see your screen there, but our report will show us, what the historical average is for each college, and, whether it's a good chance of going back or not, compared to other schools, of course, too, for sure. That's a big part of it.
Okay.
So when we meet, we'll discuss the strategies that we'll use to negotiate, and it's a joint effort. Some things that we can actually do with you, or write a letter for you and you send it in. So we'll go through all that when we have our award letter meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your question. All right. Well, everyone, I don't see any other hands up or any other questions, which is good.
So just remember, if you want to review what we discussed in our webinar tonight, we'll be sending out email to everybody who signed up, plus those that couldn't make it to the meeting tonight, and let people know how they can get into our website and the link, and they can be all there recorded.
Excellent. Well, Stuart and I always love having these webinars. We had a really good turnout tonight. A lot of people were a part of this. Not a lot of questions, though, so I guess we get off early and have supper a little bit early tonight, huh, Stuart?
Yeah, half hour. We did good.
Again, thank you, everyone, so much for working with us, and we are looking forward to talking to you at your award letter meeting. This is the big decision time, and we're going to have everything laid out, and we're going to see how much college are going to cost, and so a good time to really make some good decisions and figure out what you want to do with that plan. Right, Stuart?
Yep. The plan is key, because without a good plan to pay for college, you might be in trouble.
And whatever your plan is, we can help out either way. So looking forward to talking to you all. Thank you so much. Good night, and we will talk with you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.